Live from WFSB, here's John Holt with Sports Sunday.
Happy holidays and welcome to a special edition of Sports Sunday. I'm John Holt. Tonight, over the next 15 minutes, we bring you the Ryan Martin story. Ryan grew up in the northern Connecticut town of Somers, but for the last decade has spent much of the calendar year living in Europe, being paid to play professional wheelchair basketball. His life as a pro comes with a personal story that would have left most of us aspiring to something much less ambitious than life as an elite international athlete. Ryan always returns home to Connecticut, never forgetting his roots, but never sugarcoating them either. The good, the bad, the challenging, and the triumphant.
We have a special guest speaker. Ryan Martin graduated from Somers High School in 1997. He was born with spina bifida and had both his legs amputated when he was 2 years old. He discovered wheelchair basketball in his youth and excelled. Ryan attended Southwest Minnesota State University on a basketball scholarship, going on to play professionally in Spain and the U.S.
One of the things that I promised myself when I was in high school and when I was in middle school and things like that is if I was ever able to make something of myself, I wanted to come back and make my experience count for something. So you're going to get a chance to work with all the coaches, but we want to see where you're at and try to make sure you get a little bit better by the end of the week. Everybody's going to have different ability levels with the basketball. One of the things that my foundation does a really good job of is it opens doors for kids that they didn't think existed, you know, whether that's, oh, I can go to college, you know, oh, I can play basketball at this level, and it transcends just the idea of sports. So, you know, like for many, sports opens a lot of doors, but for these kids, I feel like it opens even more things. And get you scrimmaging by the end of the afternoon, but that's going to require you guys to be really, really on top of things. Okay, this is your spinal cord when you are born with spina bifida. I said I'd buy you another pencil, I promise. Going to junior high school and going to high school in Somers wasn't the easiest thing for me, okay? I stick out. Okay, I've been born with, you know, I was born with spina bifida. My legs were amputated when I was at the age of 2. And let's just be honest, I didn't fit into an affluent, bucolic community where I was adopted, and I was adopted into a family of special needs. 8 were adopted and 4 were special needs. It made me comfortable in who I am, and, you know, having people judge me for my disability, because when I would go home, there was a lot of individuals with disabilities, so I didn't stick out. And when I went through the difficult times through, you know, middle school and high school, that was always my, you know, my safe haven, my beacon, so to speak. I wanted to just kind of stay at home, because at home I was just Ryan. Everybody was disabled, and at school that wasn't the case. I'm going to tell you about my bullying experience and talk to you about what it was like for me and how I handled that, and how as an adult coming back with that experience, how I think you should handle that now, okay? I've struggled like with a long time with being really out of shape, you know, like really, really heavy, and, you know, being adopted, there was a lot of obstacles put in front of me. Aside from my physical disability, I had a plethora of learning disabilities. I had an IEP that looked like the Bible, okay? Name calling, the making fun of, being the only student with a disability, you know, and sticking out the way I did, you know, being ostracized. Growing up, it was like, no, Ryan, you can't play basketball with the other kids because you're in a wheelchair. No, Ryan, you can't take regular classes because, you know, you have learning disabilities. No, Ryan, you can't do this. And I'm always that person who's looking for that little bit of motivation to go ahead and excel, that gasoline, that igniter to keep going. And that's always been mine. If you're that person doing that bullying, save yourself that humiliation, because at some point, you know, being the star athlete at Somers Middle School or Somers High School, or, you know, whatever you think gives you that right, is going to seem really, really insignificant.
He's strong. He's very strong in his mind. He knows exactly who he is. When Ryan was in high school, in his later years in high school, he would come to school in his wheelchair down Mountain View Road, which drove all the administrators and teachers crazy because they were worried about him because he wasn't on the bus. He wanted to get to school his own way, and he did it. He came all the way down, and then he would travel the back roads to school.
My biological parents declined to want to meet me, and what I was told was they had told the family that I had passed away. I've decided that, like, I'm not going to try to find them, because if they told their entire family that I'm dead, I'm not going to ruin a whole family for a Hallmark moment that probably is not going to exist, if that makes sense. I was the planned second child. They did not plan for spina bifida. Basically, I was born with legs, and they hooked out like this at all times. And so where I am now, looking back, they made the right decision. If they did not feel like they could take care of me, that was the best decision to be made.
8 of the 12 Martin children were adopted, and it's worth noting 5 have since passed. Ryan knows well the blessing that is waking up each morning. When Sports Sunday continues, a trip inside one of the camps hosted by Ryan's foundation.
Here's the deal. You see how this is like a Disney story? It shouldn't have happened.
Our special edition of Sports Sunday, the Ryan Martin story, continues in 3 minutes.